good afternoon, good evening, good night. I don't know what time it is when you're going to be watching this, but hi. I need to clean out my closet again on this game, but I don't want to just clean out. I want to talk. And I thought of the most interesting topic. Maybe it's not interesting to you. It's just interesting to me. And this all sprung up in my little brain because I was watching like Disney rides and attraction things, and it made me realize, holy crap, I have this extreme phobia I completely forgot about. And I had to beg myself to stop thinking about it. This phobia that I'm going to explain, I'm going to tell you why it's weird that I have it. If you know me personally, or if you just know me in general, I'm not really scared of anything. I call myself the most anxious adrenaline junkie you'll ever meet because I have severe anxiety, right? I'm always scared I'm gonna die. But because I have ADHD, I'm always understimulated because that's part of ADHD, you're always understimulated. So nothing scares me. So I seek out things that scare me to kind of give me like a dopamine hit. You know what I mean? I like to be scared. I like the feeling of adrenaline. It's complicated. I couldn't explain it to you if I wanted to. That's the best. That's as far as I can go. There is no horror movies that scare me. A horror movie hasn't scared me since Midsommar with Florence Pugh came out in like 2018, and that didn't even scare me. It was just unsettling. And the reason I like those kinds of movies is because they make you think. I like psychological thriller movies. I don't know. My whole point is I like to have my cogs turning in my brain because I'm dumb as it is, right? So I like to have to think about like what's going on in a movie. So I don't feel scared. You know what I mean? I'm not a person that gets scared. So when people ask me like, what are you afraid of? Because the fear I have is so specific and so like niche, however the hell you say that word, I always reply with something like, oh, I'm afraid of being stabbed. Because you know, everyone's afraid of being stabbed. Every human's afraid of being stabbed. I'm afraid of being stabbed. That's a normal human thing to be afraid of. This just made me realize I have two very specific phobias that I have to go over, and I'm gonna save the dumbest one for last, so you're just gonna have to stick around and wait. There was a point in my life where, like, out of nowhere, I just decided I was scared of water. I used to be a really big fan of this band called My Chemical Romance, right? Loved them. Favorite band ever. They still have like such a special place in my heart, right? Their bassist, his name is Mikey Way. Because I was so obsessed and parasocially in love with this band, I knew everything about them. In a creepy way. They were my One Direction. They were my Taylor Swift. I knew everything about them, which is embarrassing to admit now because it was unhealthy. It was unhealthy. Anyway, their bassist, his name is Mikey Way, he had a phobia of large bodies of water, and he was talking about it in a documentary they made. It was called Life on the Murder Scene or something like that.
Also afraid of being in the middle of an ocean, water.
When I was little, I was petrified of sharks, and I wouldn't go in the ocean, and even like swimming pools I was afraid of.
I took that and I ran with it, and I thought I was so cool for saying, oh, I'm scared of large bodies of water. Insert that Debbie Ryan meme. I just thought I was so cute and quirky for that. Well, come to find out, I said that so much and I played it up so much, I actually made myself afraid of large bodies of water. And I actually really started to think like, oh, there's probably a reason like why he's afraid of this, right? And the more and more I looked at deep, large bodies of water, the more scared I got. The idea of large bodies of water does not scare me anymore to that extent. Like, I can get over it. I do have an issue with those pictures of like sharks just swimming in the water and like it's completely blue behind them and it's just a void, but it doesn't make me want to crawl into a hole and like just stop breathing, you know? So for the longest time, I thought I had thalassophobia. And then I started to see pictures of things in water that shouldn't be there. There was this specific picture that I saw on the internet once, and it changed my entire perception of every fear I've ever had. It's this picture of a plane that crashed into the ocean and is still there, and you can just barely see the plane in the picture. You know it's there, but it's just not supposed to be there, and that scares me. So then for the longest time I had a phobia, like this little fear of sunken things in the water that aren't supposed to be there, and they terrified me. Like boats sinking, that scared me. Statues under the water terrified me. Just like plastic lawn chairs that are at the bottom of the ocean, horrifying. Even just seeing like a foreign ooh, I just hit my mic. I got so into what I was saying. Just even seeing like a lawn chair or a shoe or just something stupid at the bottom of a pool, it terrified me because it's not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be there. And that made me so uncomfortable. Eventually that faded too, and I was like, okay, you gotta get over it. But this is where we get to the meat and potatoes. So 2020 rolls around. It's the beginning of the COVID era. It's when that audio on TikTok, like Saint Bernard sits at the top of the driveway, that was trending. My Little Dark Age was a trending sound, and that other song, it's like dark, if that makes sense, if you remember that. And it would be like these creepy like slideshows of like arachnophobia and all of that. There was one, and I was just perusing through that audio. Was stuck at my friend's house for 2 weeks because we got put on lockdown, so I was just perusing through the app. But no, I was just minding my own business, and up comes that audio, the Crystal Castles audio, My Little Dark Age, and it's titled Uncommon Phobias. At the time, I didn't know the name they used for this phobia was wrong, so this is why I thought it was thalassophobia that I had. It was just these horrendous, off-putting pictures of animatronics and man-made statues half submerged into water, and you could kind of see half of the thing being under the water, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I'll give you some examples. Obviously, I've probably been putting examples through this whole entire video. So I was trying to narrow this down. I was like, what about this makes me uncomfortable? I go to Disney all the time. My family is avid Disney goers. We live in Florida. So it's not like I should be scared of animatronics in water because I see it all the time. I go on Pirates of the Caribbean. I go on Splash Mountain, the Jungle Cruise, which terrifies me now that I really look at that ride. I hate the part with the hippos. I go on the Jurassic Park ride. So I'm just sitting there like, why am I scared of this? Like, this is the one thing I shouldn't be scared of living in Florida, and I'm horrified of it. And I promise you, this all ties into my single major phobia that I have. So most of these images I'm seeing are of things that are like in lakes, like these man-made animatronics in lakes. They're like half submerged, they're all dirty and grimy, and it's just absolutely horrid to look at for me. It's just disgusting, and I hate thinking of it. So me, being the person that I am, being so absolutely insane and crazy and so absolutely quirky and different, I know, go me. I take it upon myself to go on the magical land that is Reddit. Don't do that. I hate Reddit. Oh, it's a terrible, terrible place. And I look up Submechanophobia because apparently being afraid of submerged objects is called Submechanophobia. So I go into that subreddit, and again, I'm just perusing, I'm just looking around, having a little look-see-do, and there's all these images of just things submerged underwater, and there's one that gets my attention. It's this horrible, decrepit, it's not really decrepit, but it's just this horrible, eerie-looking picture of this shark animatronic that they used for a Jaws movie. And I remember feeling weak and my hands just started sweating. And it was just only this picture that did that. And even thinking about it now, I still get the heebie-jeebies. I don't know why. My biggest theory on this is probably, I want to say, because my mom let me watch this shark movie called Deep Blue Sea when I was really, really young. That was the first time I ever saw anything like remotely gory. The sharks in that movie are extremely fake looking and scary looking. So I really wonder if that was something that triggered that, or it was because I I went on the Jaws ride when I was way too young. There was always just something about sharks that was so off-putting to me. The thing is though, it's not real sharks that scare me. It's the idea of being in a pool that's deeper than 20 feet and there's just this still, not alive, not moving shark animatronic on the floor of the pool, just not moving, and I can see it from the top. Like, say I'm swimming at the top and I can just see this thing below me and it's not moving and it's shaped like a shark. And the water, the water's deep, so you can't really make out what it is. Just I don't know. It makes me feel weak in the knees. I think maybe it's like the factor of not knowing. I have the same thing with alligators. Now, alligators I'm just straight up scared of. Not scared of to the like, oh, they scare me. It's just the idea that an alligator, not a shark, an alligator could just be under the water, not moving under me, and just be there, and I can see it, kind of, not really, and it's just not moving. But if it was an alive alligator, I wouldn't be scared. Now, say it was like an alligator mannequin, and somebody put it there, I would be horrified. But if it was a real alligator, I wouldn't be scared. I don't know what that is. A fake alligator would scare me more than a real one. Now, you could probably argue, oh, Amelia, that's just uncanny valley, or that's like a primal thing, like something like that. That's so stupid, though. This isn't even like the main fear I'm talking about either. This isn't even like the phobia either. This is just me being stupid. So we pinpoint that. Me, my friends, and my boyfriend, we pinpoint you're a weirdo who's scared of non-living objects being in the water. Like, wouldn't you think you would be more scared of living things in the water? Like, wouldn't that make more sense? And I've yet to meet somebody that's had the same specific fear as that. Now, this isn't a fear that would like make me want to cry and throw up and scream and just, it makes me feel funny. Sometimes when I'm feeling a little daring, I'll look up pictures of it and be like, yeah, guys, it's the way my game just crashed twice. And the second time I tried to film, it was just a minute straight of me cussing this game out because I couldn't get it to work and I was so mad. So that's another one for the blooper reel, I guess. But as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, sometimes when I'm feeling brave, when I want that like that adrenaline feeling, I will go look up just pictures of it just to make myself a little on edge. You know how some people skydive? I'm too anxious for that. I just look at scary pictures on the internet. The big hoopla here, the big finale, the big cheese, if you will, the big pop of fear. And I'm just gonna tell you what it is. I'm not gonna give a build up to it. I'm gonna tell you what it is and I'm gonna explain it. I am scared of Walt Disney World's River Country water park. Now, what is that, you may be asking? Well, Disney's River Country water park is an abandoned water park that sits on Lake Buena Vista, which is between the Magic Kingdom with the big castle and the Fort Wilderness Resort and Lodge. I sound like a nerd because I just listed off like 20 Disney terms and everybody's probably like, what the heck, you privileged freak, how do you know all that about Disney? I'm a Florida resident, we get discounts for Disney, like insane discounts. Sometimes just being a Florida citizen, you can stay at a Disney resort for the same price as like a Marriott in the middle of nowhere. It's ridiculous. We used to go all the time. Since the pandemic hit, we don't really go anymore because things are just too expensive now. It was definitely a privilege, obviously, a privilege I was grateful to have. Right now, there's a lot going on in the world and a lot of things that I don't support with Disney at the moment that I won't get into, but it's just good to be educated, especially with everything that Disney's doing right now. As I was saying, if you didn't know, there is a whole abandoned water park and a whole abandoned amusement park sitting smack dab in the middle of Disney World. Like, it's just sitting there and they don't do anything with it. Now, my family really used to stay at the Fort Wilderness Lodge a lot. That was like our favorite resort because there's like cabins. It's like you're camping, you get a golf cart, you go to a bonfire. It's just like a little getaway, you know? Funnest times of my life, honestly. Now, back in the late 80s, early 90s, this resort had a water park attached to it and it was like frontier themed and it was called River Country. Now the cool thing about River Country is not only was it a water park, it was a water park inside of a lake. Now if you're like catching my drift here and you're thinking, why the hell would you put a water park in a lake in Florida? Your assumption here, your thought process would be that of somebody who has a higher IQ, because why as a company would you decide to put a water park in alligator breeding grounds? Oh my god. Like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, what were they thinking? Now, to be fair, they had like this whole system, they had like a net and stuff, so the alligators couldn't get in and stuff like that. Boo-hoo. I mean, big whoop, right? Here's the thing about that. That didn't even matter, because people still ended up dying anyway, which is horrible. People didn't die to the alligators. They died to a brain-eating amoeba because the water was too warm and you should not be swimming in stagnant lake water. Like, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Believe it or not, people dying was not the reason this place shut down. It actually shut down because people just stopped going. They ended up opening up a new, bigger water park that is still, you know, in function to this day. I think it's called, well, I know it's called Typhoon Lagoon. I'm just not sure which one came first. I think it was either Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach that ended up replacing River Country as a whole. I think it was Typhoon Lagoon. I'm pretty sure Typhoon Lagoon is older. It ended up replacing River Country, and you know, people went there instead because there wasn't any brain-eating amoebas and risk of alligators in the water. Not that River Country wasn't a cool concept. I mean, it was pretty cool to like go down a slide and be in a lake, but dude, this is Florida. So here's the thing. I'm not sure what Disney's entire thought process was with this whole thing, and if you really wanted like a deep dive on this, you should go watch somebody like Defunct Land, or there's like this guy that just does all abandoned Disney stuff. And here's the thing about River Country. Again, like I'm saying, I don't know what Disney's thought process was. They ended up just ditching the place. They just ditched the place, and eventually they built a resort right next to this place that was closed down and abandoned. Here's the fun thing about staying at Fort Wilderness Lodge. If you go to a certain part, you can actually walk right up to the gates and see this abandoned water park through like a little hole in the fence. Now, that would be all cool and stuff, you know, like, oh, that's cool, it's just an abandoned place, if you didn't know that this place was closed down over 25 years ago. Maybe that doesn't scare you, but it scares me. And here's another cool, fun, epic fact about this place. That it has no upkeep to it at all. But the lights still turn on every night, which would make sense. I know people sneak in there all the time. By the way, if you sneak into that place, you get banned from Disney for life. They will not let you come on the property anymore if you sneak into that place. So they do turn the lights on every night, just in case people get in. It's like a liability. They have to turn them on. But they also turn on the music at night. The music, the same playlist they had when the place was opened. To me, that's disgusting. Why do you have to turn the music on? This is just River Country, by the way. I haven't even gotten into the abandoned theme park that they have on their property. Now, you're also probably like, okay, who cares, Amelia? Just don't look at it when you go to this place. Like, why does that matter? Here's the funny, epic part, too. When you stay at Fort Wilderness Lodge, there's no monorail to get to the park. When you stay at a hotel like the Contemporary or When you stay at a hotel like the Contemporary or the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian, just most hotels in general, they are either walking distance from the theme parks, Magic Kingdom specifically, or you can take this cool futuristic Tron-looking train thing called the monorail. Because Fort Wilderness is smack in the middle of the woods, they don't have that. Instead, because they are right across the lake from Magic Kingdom, you can take a giant ferry or like this little boat, depends which one shows up first. The first time I ever saw River Country in all of its abandoned glory, I was on a ferry with my family going to the Magic Kingdom. For some reason, they're not supposed to go super close to where this place is because then people ask questions and they're like, can we go in there? And of course the boat driver has to explain, the captain I mean, has to explain like, no, it's abandoned. And usually they don't want to talk about that, right? Like they don't want to talk in general. They've been driving boats all day. They don't want to talk about an old decrepit park that has like demons or something in it. But for some reason, this specific day, this boat captain decided he was gonna like basically caress the side of this little abandoned water park, and straight up, it was just right in my face, and I saw this thing and I was instantly creeped the hell out. I don't know what came over me, but I could have projectile vomited at the sight of this place. The captain hadn't even said anything either yet. Like, I didn't know what this place was. Just the mere sight of it being like 50 to 60 to 80 feet away from me was just horrific in itself, because I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was like a boat dock they had that was destroyed in a hurricane that hit us in like 2006 or something. I think it was like hurricane, I don't know the hurricane's name. I think it was like was that the one that just hit? I don't know, I'm not educated. So I originally thought it was that, and that scared me in itself because it was like, ew, there's probably boats under there, and there's like fish swimming in the boats, and the boats are all overgrown, and there's like rubble from the dock, and probably like anchors and like all this fishing. ugh. And I was like, that's disgusting. I don't want to think about that. So at this time, I had just discovered I had like this insane fear of just man-made objects being underwater. So the thought of that was like, it was like hell. I was like, oh my God. So then this boat captain starts talking about this place and like, oh, it's not in function anymore. My mom is the Disney connoisseur. My mom knows Disney like the back of her hand. She worked for Disney for like 15 years of her life, right? She had no idea this place even existed. She had no idea what this place was. Because I was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me about this? And she's like, I didn't know about it. So this guy's just talking and talking and talking about how this entire water park got closed down and like the whole thing's like halfway underwater and like Disney's been planning to do things with it, but then they stop and it falls through because the soil's too soft. And then he says that the land now that this abandoned water park is on is protected because it's become an alligator breeding ground and you can't remove alligators that are under 9 feet. So my mind instantly just flashes to these images of these alligators just sitting in water slides that are like overgrown and mossy and just rubble in the pools, and my God, it was just vile to think about in my head. But I wasn't picturing the alligators as like live alligators. I was picturing them as like mannequins, which is besides the point. This was around the time too that a child had actually been eaten by an alligator on Disney property. So everybody on the boat listening to this guy was like, should he even be talking about this? I even thought that. Like, there was a hot minute in Disney World where they had to remove everything involving alligators because of how insensitive it was. They had to take the alligator from Peter Pan out of the parade for a while. They netted off all the water at every hotel because it was a liability. And here this guy was just openly talking about alligators eating people after this horrible, horrible thing just happened to a literal child. So that was another thing that made it so weird. Anyway, I get to the park, we have a nice night, I don't really think about it. But we get back to the hotel room that night, I'm a little groggy, and I remember my friend, she had come with us. She started talking about it. My best friend in the whole world. She starts talking about it and she's like, that's like really creepy. I didn't know about that either, because her mom had also worked for Disney for a very, very long time too. And she never knew about it. Her mom never knew about it either. So we just look up videos. We want to learn like what this place was. And that's how I came to know all the knowledge I told you about this place. Like the background, why it closed down, the brain eating amoeba and stuff like that. But I remember almost losing my dinner while looking at pictures of this place. It is still hard for me to look at the pictures of this place, and it made me realize I hate abandoned places, and it scares me to no end. I'm not going to say it's obscure because I'm sure there's more people in the world that are scared of abandoned places. Like that's a no-brainer. But this one specific place, this specific water park, this river country water park, it's my Roman Empire, and not in a good way. It scares me horrifically, to the point where the more I learned about it, every time we went back to Disney, when we would go on the ferry, I couldn't look at it. I could not look at this place. I would I would want to cry. And it's such a stupid thing. Like, I know there's like such bigger problems in the world. Like, in the words of like, I think it's Khloe Kardashian, people are dying. People are dying, Kim. Like, who cares? I get that. I want to know the psychology behind why that scares me so bad. It is only this specific place. And it's not even the scary abandoned place here. There's nothing wrong with this place. It's not haunted. There's no weird activity there. It's just abandoned. They left it there. There's alligators in it, and it's rotting. That's literally the extent of it. But pictures of this place just make me feel like I'm being watched. And like, I don't know if it's just like a survival instinct of some sort to see, I don't know, maybe just being uncomfortable seeing man-made things decrepit and deteriorated. Maybe that's just like in a subconscious thing. But I don't know why it's that place specifically. Do you know what I mean? Because there is another place on Disney property. It was called, I think, Adventure Island. Something like that, but it was like this little island you could go to. You could see like exotic animals, pet snakes, stuff like that. It was kind of like the Busch Gardens of Disney. It was Animal Kingdom before they had Animal Kingdom, basically. It started to lose money because they opened Animal Kingdom, so they didn't need this place anymore. It was literally just birds and snakes and spiders. It was like a cool concept, right? It was like a little island in the middle of Lake Buena Vista, right across, right exactly across from River Country. To the point where when you go past River Country, you could see the dock and the gate to this abandoned amusement park. It was called Discovery Island. I think it's called Discovery Island. Here's the weird thing about this place, and this is why I get so confused, because realistically, this should scare me more than a River Country water park being abandoned. This place, specifically, this Discovery Island place, they just picked up and left. I am talking, they left the animals there, and there's animal bones and vultures all over that island because they just picked up and left. It literally looks like people were working one day and they just never came back, because that's essentially what happened. They just never came back to work the next day and they just let these animals die there. It's the same story where the lights turn on and the music plays. Why is the music playing at an island that nobody has been to in like 20 years? Beats me. I understand the lights, obviously. They have to keep the lights on because people break in, and they do break in. And you want to know how these people break into this island? You'd think, oh, they take a boat. These people, because you can't take boats onto Lake Buena Vista, they swim. They swim to this island in alligator-infested waters just because they want, you know, the bragging right that they did it. Those people are far braver than I. I would have a conniption fit. I would have a heart attack. I would have a grand mal seizure. I would die. If somebody even suggested doing that to me, dead. Dead on arrival, done. Like, they built a water park in an alligator's house. They were asking for it. I think what scares me too is that there is videos of people breaking into this water park, and most of them get banned, obviously. They get banned for life from Disney, but they do it for the sake of content. Like, they want to show people that this is there. I think what scares me is that these people are just walking around this rotting water park that could collapse at any second when there is hundreds of alligators underneath them. And they're just vlogging it and having fun and smiling like nothing's happening. That's so scary. Like, imagine one board breaks, you fall through, and bam, you're in like a layer full of alligators. You're done for. Especially since they don't have to remove the alligators until they're like 9 feet. Like, who's gonna win? One quote-unquote abandoned explorer or an 8-foot alligator with just such a powerful bite? Like, a dinosaur that didn't go extinct. You're telling me a guy that broke into Disney is gonna win a fight with like 10 8-foot alligators? No, he's not. And they still go and do it. And that's why I say I am the most anxious adrenaline junkie you will ever meet, because these people, they're breaking into this place for the purpose of adrenaline. They think it's cool. To them, that is an adrenaline rush. The thought of almost getting caught, the thought of just being somewhere you're not supposed to, that's adrenaline for them. For me, all I can do is worry about them. Like, oh my god, if you get caught, you're gonna get banned from Disney. If you fall in, you're done for. But at the same time, I understand wanting to go in there because I have such this morbid curiosity, and it scares me so bad. Seeing it in person is different from just looking at pictures of it, because seeing it in person was just a horrible experience. Every time I see it in person, wanna puke. It's like, to a degree, I understand these people wanting to go in there, but I can't justify it for myself, obviously. But that is my weird, specific phobia. I am scared of Disney's River Country water park that is now abandoned. I have nightmares about this place. I have nightmares about it. Like, imagine saying, like, just doing icebreakers and being like, what's your biggest fear? And everybody's like, losing a family member, or my dog dying, or the dark. And you just say, I'm scared of Disney's River Country water park. How do you sum that up in 5 minutes? Why you're scared of it, and how, and like the lore of this obscure place that nobody's ever heard of. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's a dumb idiot thing to be scared of, and I'm the dumb idiot that's scared of it. If you haven't noticed, I've been making immense progress on my closet while I've been talking about this, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna leave that there. If you have a weird phobia, or just a phobia in general, please tell me in the comments below. It can be even just like, oh, I'm scared of spiders. I get it. Spiders scare me too, but you gotta remember, they're more scared of you than you are of them, and they do a lot for the environment. So, as much as you hate those little demons, they do a lot for us. Same with roaches. Tell me your weird phobias in the comments. I will read them. I read every comment. I just suck at responding because I'm stupid. So that's that. I will leave you with that. I'm sorry if I rambled. I'm sorry if I just sound so completely crazy. But that's my fear. That is my fear. My dramatic, stupid fear. So I hope you guys have a good Monday. I will see you guys this Wednesday for the Hollow Woods update, and then I will see you this Friday or Saturday or Sunday with an RRP. I know I've been slacking again, but it's coming, I promise. So, yep, have a good Monday, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye!